Hey, so hi everyone, today is a slightly different video. Today we'll be talking about Dune Imperium, but today we'll talk about the 3 things I hate most about Dune Imperium. So with the expansions, Rise of Ix and Immortality, came a lot of new cards. So if you look at the base game, right, the base game has like a lot of cards, right, like just a ton of cards. Then after that you have another thick stack of cards from Ix, right? And then you have another set of cards from Immortality, right? So what happens when you have a lot of cards? You see some cards less, and what happens? You don't see the new cards very often. So it comes back to my third point later, but for my first point, I think that when you add a lot of like new cards into the game, like the times where you see some of the cards actually decreases quite a fair bit. So the first thing I hate actually is the size of the Imperium deck now, and the fact that there are so many cards that are in the deck which people never buy, right? So a lot of the 1-costers, a lot of the 2-costers with no faction access, no one really buys, and I really dislike this aspect of it. Like they sit in the row and they do nothing. Like I think that what I would have preferred, right? I would have preferred if like these cards, when expansions came, they told you to remove like a few of these cards, add these cards into the deck. So then you have a new deck. Your overall deck size can increase, but you can remove some of the things for the new things to come in, and overall the Imperium deck will be better. So yeah, just the size of this whole Imperium deck. Then after you have to shuffle it. Yeah, I mean when we play on TTS, it's not an issue to shuffle it, but when you want to shuffle something like that cleanly, you have to pile shuffle it multiple times. You know, best if you sleeve it, and if you don't sleeve it, then it's a real pain. And if you're gonna sleeve it, then there's so many cards to sleeve, because once you commit to sleeve one card, you have to sleeve all the cards. Yeah, I would have preferred if they removed cards. So this will segue into some other points about why am I excited about Dune Uprising. So Dune Uprising will feature a new set of cards. So let me find out where the... So let's say this is the base game and we have new cards. I think there are a lot of lessons learned that you can take from what we have played with for so long, and you can put in cards that are not overpowered, but cards that are fun. So I think one card that is fun from let me find a card that I think is fun. I think Appropriate is fun. Appropriate is one of those cards that can be very powerful, but it's not always powerful, right? You need Solari, and then you can use Solari to kind of break the rules of the game, to buy text with Solari. And I think that this is a very fun card. You know, you buy it, there's an immediate effect. And then, yeah, throughout the rest of the game, when you play, you can acquire very powerful texts. Sometimes the texts aren't good, but when the texts are good, it lines up well. You know, you can do a lot of insane combos with it. It's a very fun card. I don't think it's broken. But at the same point of time, let's go on to point number 2. The things I don't like about Dune Imperium expansions. The expansions push the power level of some cards really, really high. I think the biggest offenders are Twi'lexu Surgeon, Twi'lexu Master, and In the Shadows. You know, a lot of times these 3 cards, someone can buy it like round 1, and if they're in a really good position, you feel so far behind them. You know, these 3 stupid cards, and the reason I hate these cards so much is that compared to a card like Lady Jessica. So let me find Lady Jessica. Lady Jessica costs 7. If it's an Imperium roll and you want to buy it, you have to put in work for it. You either have to get High Council, you have to draw cards, you have to try to go Tech Negotiator, you have to get enough persuasion to buy Lady Jessica, right? You work for it, you buy it. With these 3 stupid cards, right, the person before you just happens to buy a card and then it reveals itself, and then, oh, no, I have a very normal review of 3. I can buy Target Surge and I can buy In the Shadows. And suddenly they didn't do any work, they didn't have to put any effort, they didn't have to early reveal, and suddenly they have a lot of power into their deck. And it's very unbalanced power. Yeah, so point number 2, things I hate about the expansions is that a lot of the new cards are the power level is pushed way too high, and because the cost is so low of the cards, right? Some cost just 3, cost 2, and cost 5. 5 is relatively low, right? You can do absolutely no work. The person before you just happens to reveal it, or now in Immortality, you use your atomics and it's there, and the likelihood that they win the game because they have one of these 3 cards is extremely high. So point number 3 is things I don't like in Dune Imperium. I hate this card. You see, these experimentations are like so annoying. They add a dynamic to the game that I don't think is very fun. Let me explain. So in Immortality, you have experimentations. You have to play a few of them, and the reason you have to play a few of them is because it gives you freaking points. So you see this research track. The research track gives you points. If you get here, you get a point. So you can't ignore it, and you have to play it at least to like this point, right? You have to at least come to this point for you to get your first point. So you need to play experimentations 3 times, and what that means is that you can't trash your experimentations. Your experimentations stay in your deck. So what is a snowball effect from this? A snowball effect from this is that leaders with signet rings are with powerful signet rings are weaker, but it's not always the end all be all. Like, I think a lot of leaders with strong signet rings are still quite powerful no matter. But when I think experimentations were first revealed, right? My initial concern was like, are they making yellow spaces even stronger? So if you do not know, interstellar stripping, let me put it somewhere here, is the strongest spot in the game. And they made it even better because they printed experimentations and all the power on a yellow card. So you play the experimentations, you get even more benefit from interstellar stripping, or you get more benefit from smuggling. This makes a lot of the pure yellow cards absolute garbage as well. Like, let me share with you all what is everyone's favorite card. Whenever I post a video, this card, Carry On, gets the most comments. Everyone thinks I read it so poorly. But you see, cards with only yellow access are bad now because they compete with your experimentations. Every time you want to play a card with just yellow access, it had better be very powerful, it had better draw you 2 cards. And any other card they add to your yellow, any other pure yellow card you add to your deck, right? I've so many times where I drew 3 yellows, 2 greens, 3 yellows, 2 convincings. And because you can't trash your experimentations, because if you trash them, you lose a point. These cards are dead cards. No one buys them, and you shouldn't buy them. If you're buying them and you're winning, then please let me know. Right? So I really don't like experimentations. So other reasons why I don't like it is that if you look at this track, right, you kind of need to get to this point. So if you want to get to this point, you have to play your experimentations at least 3 times, or maybe go research station once. And then after, you need to convert all the rest of your experimentations into scarabs. If not, you will never reach the end unless you have some intrigue card. So what that means, right, is that, see, the target that, what was told to us is that, you buy some of these cards to add into your deck. And you'll help deck building. The issue with them is that, so some of them provide scarabs, can you see? So if it provides scarabs, right, you can buy it. Like, any time it could provide you a scarab, you still can buy it. If it costs 1 or 2, maybe you can buy it. But the cards that don't, right, so cards like Chair Dog, cards like Face Dancer, cards like From the Tanks, and the 2 probably most fun cards, Twisted Mentat and Usurp, you can't buy them. You can't buy them because the moment you buy them, you're saying goodbye to a point, right? So you're saying goodbye to an entire point because the cubes are tied to a VP, right? So I understand why they did it, new mechanic, they want people to engage in it. But at the same point in time, because of this victory point, these sit in your deck, and I hate them. You can't buy fun Toyotsu cards. Yeah, you have to just be disciplined about it and trade them in for scarabs most of the time. But you know what is the thing I hate the most from the expansions? I hate this card, or this atomics token. So I think the casual and competitive community will be very mixed about this. I think that the casual community would love this thing, but the competitive community probably hates this. I think some players think that it turns the game into one big slot machine. You early on in the game, you get to a high enough persuasion, you roll the slot machine. Sometimes you can roll it as low as 3 and get Toiletsu Surgeon or In the Shadows. Or sometimes you just get a 5 and you nuke it and you get Toiletsu Master. Or sometimes you get to 6 and then you nuke it and you don't see anything. And I think, the idea of it is good. So this ties back to the first point, right? The first point is that there were so many cards that are introduced now that the deck is so bloated, right? So the deck is so thick, and for you to actually see the new cards, you actually have to cause some bit of churn. And how they introduce the churn, right, is to have everyone be able to cycle cards, so you see 20 more cards throughout the game. And yeah, it changes a lot of aspects of the game. So one key element I think in Rise of Vic, so when you just play Rise of Vic, a base game, right, is that sometimes you'll play Helena and Helena can kind of do things on her own and get the persuasion, but can work to a certain card. But now you're not able to work to a certain card. Let's say there's a 6-cost card out on the Imperium roll, and you look at your hand and your hand's not very good, but then you can, okay, maybe if I play my Tech Negotiator, I play my Reconnaissance to card tech, I can engage in combat and I can buy the 6-cost card. You can't do that in Immortality because you plan for it, and when the time comes around, someone before you just, okay, I don't have something good to buy, I'll nuke the roll. They nuke the roll, you have set of five new cards, and you're like, okay, I'll just buy what's best, or there's something here, I'll nuke it again, and I hope to get something. So overall, I feel the experience it's not too bad. Like, you don't feel too bad about it, but when you think about it from a competitive standpoint, it's quite enraging, right? The times when people just win because they luck into Toiletsu Surgeon, Toiletsu Master, In the Shadows, Web of Power, all these very powerful cards that cost very cheap that you don't have to work for, and this means, right, that leaders like Helena, leaders like Paul suffer, right? They suffer because they cannot really work towards a card. They cannot build up their persuasion to hit that magic number 7 and buy Jessica, because hey, you go Tech Negotiator at your first action with Helena without ring, or let's say you play your Signet Ring to Tech Negotiator first action with Jessica on the roll. Someone else sees it and someone else just use their atomics, blows up the roll, and then it's like, I'm so much better than you. I had a defensive nuke. So what that results in is that these leaders are unplayable. These strategies don't work anymore. And I really hope that in Uprising we don't get to see this anymore. So yeah. So this is the thing I hate the most in Dune Imperium expansions, and so I think you can tell how excited I am about Uprising. You can include Immortality with these, but I don't think we will at the start. So we are back to base Dune, where you can actually deck build, plan your persuasion, get rewarded for planning out your turns in other way, instead of just having to rush Swordmaster. Like, you can actually plan your deck building and build a powerful deck. So yeah, do share some of your thoughts on things that you do not like. Hopefully after this I'll share some of the things that I really like about this game. So I really like Dune Imperium. It's my favorite game. Everyone should play it, and everyone should buy it, or join us on TTS. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope it was interesting to you. So see you. Bye.